How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to some more Premier League predictions. A really exciting weekend in the Premier League about to get underway, and we're starting off with Friday night football actually this week, but let's explain how it works for the new viewers out there. As you can see, it's 211 to 211. It's quite amazing we've got to this stage and we're still absolutely deadlocked, but the way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star men, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season, and it's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's get into the weekend's action, starting off Friday night at the City Ground. It's Nottingham Forest against Tottenham Hotspur, and we've gone for the exact same scoreline here.
Yeah, I think Forest, to be fair, did stop the rot last week against Wolves, getting a credible draw away from home. But I feel like at home, they're still in quite poor form. Although they did beat Aston Villa at home, so they're not like easy to play against. But I think Tottenham getting back to winning ways against Newcastle on Sunday, I think they're going to take that momentum into this game, and I think they're really going to take Forest to the sword. Forest, look, Gibbs White and Elanga are playing okay at the moment, but without that real focal point up front with Awioni, they are really struggling for goals at the moment. And then, a week before they drew with Wolves, they lost 5-0 to Fulham, and I think that's alarm bells really ringing. Cooper seems to be on his last legs at the moment, and I think Tottenham could really take advantage of that, so I've gone for 3-0.
Yeah, I think Spurs are going to go into this game with a lot of confidence after that win against Newcastle, 4-1 victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Nottingham Forest, only 2 wins at home all season, but one did come against Aston Villa, who themselves are having trouble on the road this season. But I can feel Tottenham coming to this with a lot of confidence, putting their attacking kind of sense of play together, with Kulusevski playing in the middle, playing as well he is doing, and Brennan Johnson going back to his old stadium as well. I can see Brennan doing something big on Friday night too. So both of us going for 3-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. But let's move on to the vitality as Bournemouth play Luton, which promises to be a big game. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Bournemouth. I've gone for 3-1 to Bournemouth. I think that Luton are a different kettle of fish when you're talking about them away and home. If this was at Luton, I would have gone for a much tighter game. But seeing it as it is at the Vitality, Bournemouth on absolutely firing form at the moment, one of the form teams, if not the form team of the Premier League actually. So I think it's going to be quite a convincing victory for Bournemouth this weekend.
I've gone for a tight one. I know Bournemouth is playing really well at the moment, getting some really good results off the back of a 3-0 win at Old Trafford as well last week, and they've really turned things around under Iraola and really they're 10 points clear now of Luton and 18, so really easing those relegation worries that they had not even a month ago probably. They were worried about it. So really great stuff. They've got a front line which is really hurting a lot of teams in the past few weeks. Luton obviously are going to come to Bournemouth, set up to frustrate, look to make sure to stop Bournemouth playing their football. But Bournemouth will press high. They will make things difficult for Luton. And I think at the moment, with Solanke in firing form and people like Semenyo, Tavernier, Cliver causing trouble, I just can't see Luton being able to keep out Bournemouth. But I also see Luton causing a bit of trouble for Bournemouth on going the other way and with on-set pieces and a physical striker like Morris causing problems. So I've gone for a bit of a tighter game, but I've still gone for Bournemouth to win 2-1.
Yeah, it's actually Adebayo's been favoured to Morris in the last 3 or 4 games, and I'm liking the look of Adebayo, to be honest. He's getting goals quite regularly as well. So, yeah, I agree. Luton will cause them a few problems, but I think Bournemouth will get the better of it by the end of the game. Let's go to Stamford Bridge next up. Chelsea against Sheffield United. Once again, we've gone for the exact same scoreline here in 1-0 to Chelsea.
Yeah, and again, I've gone for Chelsea to win, but not in a convincing fashion. Obviously, Chris Wilder's taken over from Sheffield United, and his first 2 games have been pretty promising. A dogged defeat to Liverpool, 2-0, and then they obviously won last week, 1-0 at home to Brentford, in what was hopefully a result that could kickstart their season under Chris Wilder. And I do expect them to go to Stamford Bridge and make things difficult. We've seen Chelsea struggle against these kind of teams this season who sit back and frustrate them, and they don't really seem to have a great answer when they've asked to break down a low block. But I think in this game, I know they've been terrible form recently, but they have a set of decent fixtures now coming up. They have to use this as an opportunity to springboard some momentum. And I think they will get the win in this one. I think they're just going to have too much quality for Sheffield United, but I don't think it's going to be convincing. So I've only gone 1-0.
Yeah, kind of the same thinking as you, to be honest. I think Chelsea will just about get over the line. Maurizio Pochettino is starting to come under increasing pressure, especially from the fan base. Doesn't seem like too much pressure from the club as of yet, but the fans are definitely starting to get on his back a little bit, and I feel like he'll just shore things up a little bit this weekend and just about get over the line. And I don't think, a result 1-0 at home against Sheffield United will do anything to ease that pressure, to be honest. But it'll see how this run goes, to be honest. If they get a couple of wins behind them, maybe that can start to ease the pressure. But in this game, I think a very unconvincing 1-0 win for Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Next up is Manchester City against Crystal Palace. I've gone for 2-0. Sim has gone for 3-1 here. Look, I think Man City, they rested a host of players, to be honest, in the Champions League last night, and they even got the win as well. A couple of youth players, Oscar Bob, and I didn't even know who the other youth player was that
Williamson,
scored.
was it?
Williamson, I don't
Hamilton?
know.
No,
Hamilton, that was it. Hamilton. And look, Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson as well is under increasing pressure himself, and they're just not playing well at the moment. They're not getting results, and I can't even see them scoring. Yes, I know Man City tend to concede every game at the moment, but I can see quite a resolute 2-0 victory for Man City here.
For some reason, Palace seem to have something at the Etihad, don't they? Whenever they go to the Etihad, they seem to play well and usually cause City a lot of trouble. But recently, City have still been getting the results, even though Palace go there and, especially under Roy Hodgson, the way they play usually causes City a lot of trouble. Without Eze available, I think Olise is going to be fit for this one, but I do see maybe one goal for Palace, but I think Haaland's back in contention now. Apparently,
is he back?
Yeah, apparently he trained fully today, so he's probably going to play. He's going to be back on the team, so I can't see anything but City running right here, so 3-1.
I was reading a tweet of this guy, FPL enthusiast, and he was talking about Haaland, and he goes, I moved everything round to take Haaland out when I heard he was injured. Now I'm moving everything back, all back in the same week. I don't know if I can.
It's causing havoc, this Haaland news.
You got to wait for the team news to come out, and then you make your decisions.
Exactly, rookie mistake.
Yeah, but anyway, let's go to St James's Park. Newcastle against high-flying Fulham at the moment. Two on the back of 5-0 victories. Sim has gone for 1-1 here.
Yeah, I think Newcastle, off the back of a very disappointing midweek against AC Milan, crashing out of Europe altogether, not even making Europa League, picking up significant injuries in Trippier and Anthony Gordon as well in midweek, having forced off. So whether they're going to be fit for the weekend remains to be seen. And if they're not fit, on top of the injuries they already have, I'd see Newcastle having a bit of a struggle here, compounded by the fact that Fulham are in good form, winning 3 of their last 4 games and back-to-back 5-0 wins as well. So you've got to start giving them a bit more credit. I was questioning whether they could turn around their bad form, and I thought they might be dragged into a relegation battle, but credit to them, they've seemed to have found goals from somewhere, and all of a sudden they're starting to play some really good stuff, and I see them going away to Newcastle, making things difficult, so I've gone for a 1-1 draw here.
Yeah, I probably would have gone for 1-1 if it was at Craven Cottage, but at St James's Park with the home fans behind them, yeah, I know they had a really tough game against Milan during midweek at St James's Park, but I just feel like the quality will shine through, even with a few injuries. They will be out on their legs a little bit. I mean, their bench was absolutely decimated for the Milan game anyway, so a few injuries will massively hurt them, to be honest. But on the back of 2 5-0s for Fulham against two teams who were just, not right at the moment in Nottingham Forest and West Ham, I just feel that they're going to come to Newcastle with a bit of confidence, but it'll be a tight game, but I just feel like Newcastle will just about get over the line, especially at St James's Park. So I have gone for 1-0 to Newcastle. But let's move on to Turf Moor. It's Burnley against Everton. I've gone for 3-1 to Everton here. I mean, Sean Dyche has got them playing really well at the moment. The players and their attacking talent is really coming through at the moment. Dwight McNeil playing really well, Decore playing really well, Calvert-Lewin as well, and a few players going back to their old stomping ground in Burnley as well, when you got the manager Sean Dyche, Tarkowski, McNeil and a few others as well. So I feel like Burnley will actually fancy themselves a little bit this weekend at Turf Moor, and they might play their expansive game and bring that back, and I think that will work against them, and I feel they can get a goal. But Everton, with the way they're playing at the moment and the consistent results they're getting at the moment, after that 10-point deduction, it's like that siege mentality that Sean Dyche has set into the squad, and it's really working in their favour. So 3-1 to Everton.
Yeah, Everton are just in great form, aren't they? And even I was talking about their great form away from home, and now their form at home, back-to-back wins against Chelsea and Newcastle at home has really turned that form around. But they've been pretty solid away from home all season. I think Burnley are going to play into their hands. I think Dyche, with his physicality, are going to bully Burnley even at Turf Moor. I think it must be, is this the first time Dyche comes up against Burnley after leaving? Probably. I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
probably. Yeah, So homecoming for him. He's going to have that extra motivation to get the 3 points here at Turf Moor, and I think they're just going to go there and they're going to bully them off the park. I don't think they're going to allow Burnley to score. So I've gone for 2-0.
Where do you think Burnley's fans' heads are at the moment? Because obviously they're very happy with Vincent Kompany, with what he did last season. But did you think there's like an element to their fan base thinking, "Oh, I wish we had Sean Dyche for this season"?
Maybe there's an element. I've been seeing a few Burnley fans' opinions on what's going on this season, and a lot of them seem to be of the opinion that although they're struggling and obviously they're in a relegation dogfight, a lot of them seem to be of the opinion that they should be allowed to kind of, even if companies taking them down, stick with him and not sack him, because in the long term, if he's building something, that'll be for the benefit of them. But then some fans think if it looks like they're going down, just get rid and try and get someone in who can save them and keep them up. So there's two different opinions. Obviously, they did go down with Sean Dyche a few 10 years ago, and then they stuck with him and they came back up, and then all of a sudden became a mainstay. So if they follow that kind of method, maybe they could reap long-term benefits. The question is, if they go down with Kompany, will he stay? That's the big question.
Yeah, that is the big question. And obviously, in the summer, he was touted for big jobs, wasn't he? So it'll be interesting to see what does happen, but long way to go yet. So let's move on to the Emirates. Arsenal against Brighton. Sim's gone for 3-2 to Arsenal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an entertaining game. Arsenal defensively are not, in a weird way, they're not as good at home defensively as are away from home. But obviously going forward, they seem to be a lot more fluid when they play at home. Obviously playing against a Brighton team who only know one way of playing, and that's open, expansive, risking, high line, leaving lots of spaces, and Arsenal are going to absolutely their eyes will light up with what Brighton will leave. I do think Brighton can cause some trouble though, and I do think going forward Brighton are a very good footballing team, and their form is turning around a bit recently after what was a very bad period for them. They've got a few injuries back, and all of a sudden they look like a more competitive team again. But I'd see an entertaining game, but I just see Arsenal edging it, so 3-2.
It's crazy to think about that. Arsenal have only beaten Brighton once at the Emirates since 2019, which is a crazy stat, to be honest. Last year it was 3-0 to Brighton, wasn't it? The year before 3-1 to Brighton. They really do like playing at the Emirates, this Brighton side, but look, I think this is a different kettle of fish, Arsenal this year, than it has been in previous years. I think what Brighton went there, was it towards the back end of last season when Arsenal were kind of bottling it. So I think at this stage of the season, I think Arsenal will be very confident to take the 3 points, and I think they will. Look, I think Brighton can get a goal with the way they play their football, but I just think they'll be just way too open in the back and play into Arsenal's hands a little bit with the attacking talent that Arsenal have. They should be doing a lot better, and they should be scoring a lot more goals this season, Arsenal, which is a surprise to me. It feels like their defence is better than their attack this year, where last year it seemed the opposite. But I think it will be a good game of football and a tight one as well. So I've gone for 2-1 to Arsenal. Next up, the Brentford are playing against Villa. Sim's gone for 1-0 to Villa. I've gone for 2-2 here. Villa's away form has been ropey all season, to be honest. They did get over the line at Spurs, but I thought they were a bit fortunate to do so when Spurs could have been about 3-4-0 up after the first 10-20 minutes. Against a good Brentford side, a side that are very good at home as well. So I could just see a really good game of football here with quite a few goals. And I don't know if is Mbeumo back for this game?
Don't believe so.
Well, maybe I should have thought of that before I made my prediction. But I still think Brentford can get a few goals on the day, especially at home. So I've gone for 2-2.
That was the basis pretty much of my prediction. I think Brentford, if they had those counter-attacking threats in Mbuemo, I know Whistle will be playing, so he can cause problems. But I just look at the rest of their attack. They got Morpie, Lewis Potter. I just think Villa will be able to deal with that, and I think Villa away from home haven't been that convincing. But I just think with Brentford's main bullets taken away. We saw how they struggled against Sheffield United last week without them, couldn't score a goal, and I think it could be the same here, even though they're at home to Villa. So I've just gone for Villa to shade it, but a lot of people talking about Villa in a title race at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, amazing results over the past 3 games. They beat Spurs, beat Man City at home, beat Arsenal. Are people jumping on the bandwagon, or are they genuinely in a title race?
I don't think they're genuinely in the title race, to be honest. I think the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City are a lot better than them, in my opinion. I think their home form is kind of keeping them in it at the moment, but I do expect at some point those them to have a few dodgy results at home. And once those dodgy results come at home, their away form isn't good enough to keep them in that title race. So I think once Villa get a few injuries as well, they'll be well out of it. So I think they're in a top 4 race for sure, but title race is a bit too much for me.
Yeah, I think they're very much outperforming themselves at the moment. I think a few things could go against them. First of all, I think they've been very lucky with injuries so far. I think everyone has pretty much stayed fit, and they haven't really had too many issues of injuries. And as well, I just look at their forward line, and I know Watkins is in great form. I like Diaby and Bailey, but I just look at their front line compared to the rivals. I just don't think it's as good, or they have as much depth there. And they're heavily relying on those players right now, and I feel like the goals will dry up at some point, and that's gonna, feel like that will go against them at some point. So I don't think they're going to be in the race for the title, although you've got to say what a week it's been for them. So credit to them, and I think they've got a massive chance of being in the top 4. I just think they're going to fall short of the title. Yeah,
especially as Europe progresses into the business end of the tournament as well. It'll be interesting to see, because obviously Unai Emery is a classic tournament manager who loves those European tournaments. But if they are still in and around that top 4, come February, March, it'll be interesting to see which one he prioritises. But let's move on to the London Stadium. West Ham against Wolves. We've both gone for the same scoreline here in 1-1. What are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, I think West Ham, obviously, off the back of a terrible 5-0 defeat to Fulham, which no one would have expected that kind of result last week. They definitely want to put that right, but obviously they got European exertions. They need a result in midweek. I believe they need a minimum, and they need a draw to make sure they get through the group. So I don't see them playing a massively rested team on Thursday. That might take out of them going into this game. Wolves away from home as well. They might look at this game and it might suit them a bit. Going away to West Ham, thinking they could get something. They're going to be very difficult to break down. They've been on decent form this season. We know how difficult Wolves are to play against. I don't think West Ham will lose, but I can definitely see them struggling here. So I couldn't split it. So I went for 1-1.
Yeah, Wolves actually. Both these teams, to be fair, but not on the greatest form at the moment. Not playing well. I look at Wolves, and in that game that they beat Burnley in, they weren't great. The other 3 games as well that they've played in the last 4 haven't picked up points. I think 1 draw out of those 3 games. West Ham, on the other hand, got a lucky win against Spurs. Apart from that, they've been absolutely terrible, and they were even terrible in that Spurs game. They just got a bigger stroke of luck to go and win that game. So I can see a really poor game here, and both of them kind of cancelling each other out. I might even think that Wolves are going to be a slightly better team on the day, but look, I can't really split them, to be honest. I think both of them are on quite poor form, so I've gone for 1-1. But the last game of the weekend is the big one. It's Liverpool against Manchester United at Anfield. Sim's gone for 4-1. I have gone for 5-0 to Liverpool.
Wow.
Last year it was 7-0. Man United seem even more depressed at this time of the season than they were when they went to Anfield last year. So I can see it be a very convincing scoreline. Liverpool playing well at the moment, getting over the line when they're not playing well as well. Manchester United set a British record this week with going out the Champions League with the least amount of goals ever from a British side in the Champions League
most goals
group.
conceded.
Sorry, most goals conceded from any British side ever in the Champions League group phase, which is a record that no Man United fan is going to want. And I feel like Ten Hag is on his last legs. So I can't see them getting anything, not even a goal. Bruno Fernandes suspended for this game as well. Look, Liverpool are going to wipe the floor with them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And everyone talks about Villa's home record, but no one's mentioned that Liverpool have 7 out of 7 so far this season at home as well. So we know how formidable Liverpool are at Anfield. They've just got bucket loads of goals in their team. There's creativity wherever you see it. Trent is in great form as well. I think as well they're already through in their group in the Europa, so no need to play anyone really on Thursday. They can rest the whole team and be fresh for the game. Obviously they're in good form overall. They're top of the league. I don't know if they'll go into this game top of the league, but they are top of the league before the weekend, so they know if they win this game they'll go back top wherever happens.
Extra incentive, isn't it?
Extra incentive. And as well, they beat Man United 7-0 last year. They just know they always turn up at home to Man United recently, and that they're going to really take the game to them. And I think Man United are going to really struggle to live with them. And I can see it being a battering. I do see, even with Bruno out, in a way, I can see it benefiting them if they put a player who's maybe in there to help the team a bit more, like off the ball, and maybe be less of a liability than Bruno. It could maybe help them on the counter. Obviously, they got a bit of pace, and I don't know if Rashford's going to play, or I don't know who, but I can see them maybe getting a goal, but I just can't see anything but Liverpool just scoring a bucket load. So I've gone 4-1 here.
Can I tell you a stat that Manchester United have only scored 1 goal at Anfield since 2016?
Really?
Yeah.
1 goal at Anfield. That's crazy.
That's mad, isn't it?
That's crazy.
But yeah, there you have it. Sims has gone for them to get their 2nd goal since 2016. But let's move on to the star men. Sims gone for Brennan Johnson. You know what? I was thinking of to do Brennan Johnson, to be honest, but in the wrong kit here. But he'll be turning out in the Spurs colours on Friday night. So why Brennan?
Yeah, I just think against his old club, he's going to have something to prove. I think Spurs are in good form. I think he's playing well at the moment, probably just off the back of his best performance in the Spurs shirt. So I've gone for Brennan to get some goal contributions here.
Yeah, I think probably the first defender picked on Predict the Prem this season. I'm not sure if anyone went for Trent last year, but he's kind of the only defender anyone's going to pick as a star man. But, at home to Manchester United, he's good for a few assists. He'll be on free kick duty as well. And he's been in good goal scoring form as well of late. So I think Trent can get quite a haul this weekend. So I've gone for Trent. Sim's gone for Brennan Johnson. Let me know your predictions and your star man. And also let me know who you think is going to come out on top this weekend. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.